Good morning, everybody. Today is February 23rd. It's 10 a.m. and I'm back with I don't know what I'm going to call this Facebook Live. I think I might call it Nits Nuggets or something like that. But so I have been going through the Business Secrets of the Bible. Let me adjust this a little bit. With Rabbi Lappin, but I wanted to do something a little bit differently today, just speak a little bit more. I mean, not that I didn't agree with everything, and I think it's a good book, and I'm going to continue to do Facebook Lives about it, but something just kind of like resonated with my heart when I was thinking about being entrepreneurs and how that plays a part in our faith as believers. And so I wanted to share one of my favorite parables. Hold on, let me get my situation straight. So anyway, I wanted to share one of my favorite parables, which is out of Matthew 25, and it's the parable of the talents. You may have heard about it. It's one of Jesus's parables, and I'm just going to read the scripture and then speak a little bit from my heart about what it means to me. And I've heard plenty of sermons on this, and I've also listened to some commentaries on it, and so I have a general idea of the background in it, but I wanted to just let what it means to me. And then if you all could share your comments, share your your insight on what you think it means to you and how it resonates with you, I would greatly appreciate it. So anyway, starting at let's see here, it's Matthew 25 verse 14. It's called the parable of I'm reading, what version am I reading? The NIV. So I'm reading from the NIV, the New International Version, and it talks about the parable of the talents of gold. It says, again, it will be like a man going on a journey who called his servants and entrusted his wealth to them. To one he gave 5 bags of gold, to another 2 bags, and to another 1 bag, each according to his ability. Now that right there, when I a long time ago, I mean, I used to hear this parable all the time, and I listened to it, and you know how you hear things and you hear it, but then you don't always get every insight into it when you hear it for the first or second time. And so that right there, one day I was listening to this, I think a pastor talk about this parable, and then I read it for myself. And that part, according to his ability, that right there really resonated with me, because it made me think about the fact that we all have talent. We all know that we have talents and abilities, but sometimes I think that when you get caught up in what someone else's ability is versus what your ability is, when you look at it this way, when you recognize the fact that everybody has been given a different ability, and so you're going to be entrusted with different responsibilities, different opportunities, and different and that's going to result in a different amount of wealth, a different amount of benefits to you. And so to me, that was just very it was very powerful, because then I'm not comparing myself to anyone else, because I know that what God has given me has been according to my ability. The talent and the resources and the abilities that he's given to me has been according to my specific ability. It's special to me, and that's okay. And so I thought that was just very powerful. So then he said, then he went on his journey. The man who had received 5 bags of gold went at once and put his money to work and gave 5 bags more. So also the one with 2 bags of gold gained 2 more. But the man who had received 1 bag went off, dug a hole in the ground, and hid his master's money. And so that's another powerful scripture where it talks about how, if you reference this to us personally, it talks about how we all have been given different talents and abilities, and with that we have a responsibility to do something with it. And so I know I was guilty of this for a long time. I knew that I had a special interest in a special talent that could be developed in finance, and and I, so in finance and numbers and investing. And so I took the right path when I pursued my education, and I got a degree in finance. But that's a huge market. And so knowing though that my special gift was in personal finance and budgeting and just the everyday grind of, should I call it a grind? It's not really a grind. It's more of a mindset, the everyday mindset of how you should manage your money. I've done pretty well with that. And that's a special gift of mine. But I never really, until now, I never really developed that so I can bless other people with it. I just kind of knew it, and I was, bug my friends and family about things, and tell them things that they should do or could do or how they could do things. But I never really tried to develop that skill level and that talent so that I could bless other people with it. And then the other thing I was thinking about when I was reading this, in terms of how this applies to entrepreneurs, because I know that when you think about, when we think, normally when we think about doing things to further God's kingdom, I think, hey, Kathy, how are you? I think about, oh, well, that's for the people that are in ministry, or you have to be a missionary, or you have to be a pastor, you have to be gifted to preach and be the discipleship and things like that. And that's kind of, that's how it is, that's how the kingdom is going to be furthered. But now I realize that that's not true. We've all been given talents and abilities, and it may not be to preach or go in a mission field or anything like that. Whatever gift we have, we can monetize that gift, not just for ourselves. Of course, God is okay with us, reaping our harvest, because in the Old Testament, and I know I still try to practice this now. A lot of people still try to practice 10% tithing, just because no, it's not a part of the New Testament necessarily. But I kind of figure, if it was part of the Old Testament, and they were blessed by following that, I'm going to be okay with doing that too. So, but anyway, so the more I earn, the more I can tithe. If I'm tithing as a percentage, the more I can give in offerings. And so I can help financially support those pastors and those ministers and those missionaries that have that particular gift, because they still need resources. They, even if you're talented to be able to spread the gospel, you still need resources to be able to do that. So as a person with a different gift that I can monetize as an entrepreneur, hey Victoria, how are you? If as an entrepreneur with a gift that I can monetize, then I can support those people that do have that more specific gift in terms of, ministering to specific people and spreading the gospel that way. So when I read the parable of the talents, that's kind of what resonated with me, is that he's given us a response. We all have a role to play. We all have a responsibility. And I know I've been guilty of, you just kind of get comfortable, you know what you know, and especially if you have a job. I know for myself, I'm really, I can really just kind of get in my groove, just kind of doing my own thing, knowing what I'm doing, and just being comfortable, because and that feels better. It physically and emotionally feels better than the work and sometimes the grind of being an entrepreneur. But I know that if I don't push myself, if I don't challenge myself, then I'm not going to develop that talent that God has given me, so that I can be compliant and obedient to what he wants us to do with our different talents. So then he said, let's see here. So he talked about, so of course, that you had the man with the 5 talents, and when he was faithful with those 5 talents, God gave him more. And I want to read specifically what he said. Okay. So it says, after a long time, the master of those servants returned and settled accounts with them. The man who had received 5 bags of gold brought the other 5. Master, he said, you entrusted me with 5 bags of gold. See, I have gained 5 more. And then his master replies, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many more things. Come and share your master's happiness. And that is consistent with the fact that, you'll hear people complain that certain people that have a lot, they gain more. Well, if they have been faithful with what they have been given, and they have been entrusted with what they've been given, and they have used those resources properly, yes, God is going to bless them with more. And so, but the blessing is that we all have specific gifts that we can benefit the same way. Because then he says the man with 2 bags of gold also came, and now he had less than the guy that had 5, but he wasn't resentful of that. He wasn't comparing himself. He wasn't down on himself because he had 2 talents and this other guy was given 5 from the beginning. Because remember, God said that each man was given what they were giving according to their specific ability. So the guy that had 2 talents said, he says, Master, he said, you entrust me with 2 bags of gold. See, I have gained 2 more. The master replied, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness. And today, I decided I was going to try to get, some more recent commentary on this. And I was listening to the John Ankerberg show, and he had I think the pastor's name is Erwin Lutzer. He had him on there, and he was talking about how, in terms of how this applies to believers, in terms of the judgment seat of Christ, not because if you know that there are just different judgments. So this is not the great white throne judgment. This is the judgment for the believers in terms of what God is going to determine in terms of the rewards we get. It has nothing to do with salvation. It has nothing to do to getting to heaven. It has to do with, okay, what have you done and how are you going to be rewarded? Because remember, I think there are like 5 crowns. And so, we all will be given rewards based upon how we furthered God's kingdom and what we did in this life. So anyway, so Erwin Lutzer was saying that that this is how that parable applied, and not only that, as believers, we know that we will rule and reign with Christ. And he talked about how I'm trying to see. Well, Erwin Lutzer referred to the fact that when God said that he was going to put them in charge of many things, that referenced the fact of how, those people that have, again, according to your ability, according to how you've been obedient, what you will be in charge of during the millennial kingdom. And so that just resonated with me. I was like, wow, this is pretty deep. So it's not just about me, being in a business and making money for myself and just, we all want to be successful. We all want to earn an income. We all want to have the side hustle. We all have these dreams of being financially free and financially independent. I have all those same things, but I also understand that I have a responsibility with that, whether I'm going to make money or not. I have a responsibility to share my talent and focus on how I can serve the needs in the marketplace of other people. And the finances, the money will follow that, because the paper money in itself is not, it doesn't have any value other than the value that we attach to it. I was thinking today about hyperinflation and how you had lots of trillionaires in Zimbabwe during their hyperinflation. But if you had $1 trillion Zimbabwe dollars, you might be able to get a drink with it. I mean, so the currency itself, the currency itself is not where the value lies. The value lies in what that currency is being exchanged for, and people's faith in being able to be able to provide a service or a good, and to be able to accept that currency in exchange so that they can get another, product, service, or good for themselves or their family. And so that was what resonated with me, is that as an entrepreneur, I have a further responsibility, a spiritual responsibility, to develop my talents, and be able to bless other people, provide a service, fulfill a need in the marketplace as an entrepreneur. The better I do that, the better I'll be compensated, the more I will be able to contribute financially to those ministries and organizations that I believe in, the better I will be able to provide for my family. I mean, it's just, I mean, when you just look at this particular parable, it's all just, it's the power of it is it's all packed in just this one little section, in just that one little parable. So that's one of my favorite parables. That's why I wanted to share it with you all today. If you felt that this was beneficial or insightful, I would appreciate if you like or share the video with anybody that you think could benefit from this. So I'm still getting used to doing these, and I so appreciate Kathy and Victoria. I appreciate you guys being on here with me and listening. Still getting used to these and trying to be consistent with it, because like I was saying earlier, it's so easy to just get in my comfort zone and just lay in bed for a little bit longer. But I know that I'm not going to get better at doing these unless I get up and put myself out there and not be comfortable, so that I can get better at sharing and being a blessing to other people and sharing with other entrepreneurs. So that's all I have for today. Again, thank you so much for coming and listening to my Facebook Live. I'm getting ready to head off to church, and I will see you guys next week.